What's going on, everybody? Welcome in the Vikings Now by Chat Sports. My name is Patrick Siepman, and coming up on today's show, I just wanted to dive into what Kevin O'Connell had to say after day one of Vikings rookie minicamp that went down today. So we're just going to be diving into what KOC had to say. But also, first off, we got some news on the season next season. It is looking like the Vikings will be playing back-to-back games overseas this season. It's going to be week 4 in Dublin, Ireland versus the Pittsburgh Steelers, and then they're going to stay overseas for week 5 against the Cleveland Browns. Now, I know a lot of people are upset about this since it's 2 international games. You know, it's obviously a lot to go through as an NFL team, but I will say an advantage for the Vikings. These would have been 2 road games. Now you just get them overseas, and we know the Purple Faithful. They got a lot of fans over there, so these could necessarily be de facto home games for the Vikings. Now, yes, it does stink that you're over there for 2+ weeks, but also you will have the advantage against the Cleveland Browns when they're traveling to London, since you've already been across the pond a week prior. But also Isaiah Rodgers, he's a fan of it. Vikings fan page, shout out to them on Instagram, was just talking about the Vikes playing in Dublin and in London. And then Isaiah Rodgers gave the fire emoji. So it seems like Zay is a fan of this one. So hopefully the Vikings team can kind of rally around this. Now, I would probably guess this would mean the Vikings would have an early bye yet again at week 6. So maybe they decide to elect to have that bye early. But remember, they gave them the choice after they got back from London last year. It was like, hey, you could either, have that bye, or you could kind of choose where you would want to play. So the Vikings may have a decision there, so we'll just have to wait and see how they play it. But if you guys could also hit that subscribe button, because we are almost done with our race to 100 subscribers with our NFC North teams here at Chat Sports. With the Packers report, they got 56 subs. Bears now is at 91, and here at Vikings now we're at 73. So if you guys want to help us catch Bears now and subscribers, or in a race to 100 subscribers, hit that sub button today, and stay up to date on everything around your Minnesota Vikes. All right, so first off, J.J. McCarthy was not in attendance at Vikings rookie minicamp. We thought there was a possibility. Ben Gesslin was kind of throwing it out there, but it turns out he was not in attendance, which is sad. I would have loved to see some J.J. McCarthy rookie minicamp clips for a second straight season, but he was not there, which actually means Max Brosmer was getting most of the reps, and we'll talk about what KOC had to say about him. But Kevin O'Connell, he had a presser after, and there was a lot of big takeaways. Talked about like the tight end 3 spot, talked about just, a lot around the Minnesota Vikings, but the first guy and first player he gave a lot of love to was actually Max Brosmer. He said he looked pretty damn good day 1. Apparently he went 4 for 6 on team drills in their first period, then went 1 for 2 in the second period. But when he was 4 for 6, those 2 incompletions, actually Kobe King had an interception. I will say, cool story, Ivan Pace, when he was at rookie minicamp for the Vikes, he also had an interception that first day. So you already see the comparisons already on the field with Kobe King and Ivan Pace Jr. So I thought that was pretty cool. But also Kevin O'Connell, he was talking about Max Brosmer a lot, and he was talking about going to these Minnesota pro days, and he has a lot of respect for PJ Fleck. Like, he had nothing but good things to say about him and how he runs his college program. So I thought that part was pretty cool. The 2 head coaches of the 2 most prominent Minnesota football teams in the state, both got a lot of respect for each other. But Kevin O'Connell also just said it was a solid and efficient first day out there. Now, a lot of this was, players working with their position coaches, so it wasn't a lot of a full 11 on 11. Like, Kevin O'Connell's kind of manning the whole practice, but he said it was solid and efficient for day 1. But he also mentioned and specifically defensively, he is looking for communicators. He's looking for guys that can help get guys in the right position. And he also mentioned, if I tell you to do something once, can you go do that right away after? And he was just saying how we need better communicators out there. That's something huge, especially with Brian Flores, what he likes to do. A lot of exotic coverages, a lot of exotic, schemes out there. And when these offenses, they react to what Flores shows them at first, you're going to have a communicator out there to get the defense back in specific positions. He also called out Kobe King as a guy that was communicating very well. But he also talked about the offense, and he talked about the tight end spot. And he said the 3rd tight end spot is wide open. Now, obviously, they, drafted Gavin Bartholomew, and Kevin O'Connell had a lot of praise for him. He said, when you look at, these guys on tape and everything, and Bartholomew just looked like this massive, physically imposing tight end. And he said, he was joking around, he said it was kind of nice that he checked that box once he got out there the practice field. So that was good news on Bartholomew. But also look at Ben Urasek, Georgia tight end, who was with Stanford before he transferred there. So he could be fighting to make that final roster spot at the tight end position. But I thought it was pretty cool. He was talking about, rookie minicamp as a whole, and he used Ivan Pace Jr. as a great example of, like, for these UDFAs in terms of a guy they can look to and be like, okay, I could be the next Ivan Pace in the Vikings organization. Because Pace, people forget this guy was a UDFA. He had to fight to make the roster, and then year one, he was already making big-time plays. And he talked about Pace having an interception during that first minicamp session for the Vikings, and then he would show that clip to the UDFAs, and he would show his game-sealing interception later on that year versus the Las Vegas Raiders, and he joked about that Raiders game. He was like, I'm hoping that's something I'll never have to watch again. I remember watching that here live on the show, and it was 0-0 with like 5 minutes left in the fourth quarter. I'm like, what the hell is going on in this game? Hopefully that's something none of us Vikings fans will ever have to watch again. But one thing I thought that was cool, Kevin O'Connell just talked about letting his position coaches just kind of do their job. He was talking about Chris Cupper, offensive line coach, just saying that, it's like a offensive lineman camp going on that side of the field. So I thought that part was pretty cool. But he also was talking about Tai Felton, Rondell Moore, and all these guys. And he just mentioned he wanted more explosiveness in the wide receiver room, wanted more gadget guys. And, I'm very curious to see, like, how many, how many, like, wide receiver screens or, like, jet passes, will guys like Tai Felton, Rondell Moore get this year? Because, we saw Kevin O'Connell kind of hop into that bag with Jordan Addison in spots over the past year. And Addison is a tremendous athlete, but is he the burner that, like, Rondell Moore, Tai Felton is? Not necessarily. So it'd be cool to see how he uses him. But also KOC was funny. He was talking about, evaluating different positions in the draft, and he actually said evaluating running backs is extremely hard, which I thought was pretty interesting because for me personally, and obviously not in an NFL organization, I'm not a scout by any means, but I would feel like running back would be one of the easier positions to scout, but he said it's pretty damn tough. But this was our first real taste of Vikings football for the 2025 version of the Minnesota Vikings, and if you guys are excited Vikings football is back, hit me with a skull down below in the comments section. I can't wait. You guys know I'm super fired up for the season, and we're just getting that first taste here with rookie minicamp. So if you guys are fired up, hit me with a skull down below, and also while you're down there giving me those skulls, if you guys want to get a JJ McCarthy jersey today, hit that link, chatsports.com/Vikings jersey. This link will be in the comments section. So if you guys want to get a Vikings jersey, specifically JJ McCarthy, they are flying off the shelves right now. So if you guys want to hit that link, get one, chatsports.com/Vikings jersey. Now, just going over some clips I saw on Twitter. Obviously, I was not in attendance at Vikings rookie minicamp, but Tai Felton looked the part. You really saw that burst. You really saw that speed. You saw that just natural athletic ability he has. And Kevin O'Connell, he was saying, like, obviously he's got that, top-end speed that you love as a coach to have a receiver like that. But he also mentioned he's a great hands catcher. He's got great late hands, which is key because obviously if a DB's trailing you and you throw up your hands right away, the DB can just start swiping down. But if you keep those late hands and it just gets to the breadbasket at the last second and you throw them up there, that's a huge part of the wide receiver position. But I also think the wide receiver 3 battle is going to be very entertaining. And honestly, I think it's going to be more of a, by committee, where it's going to be some games will be Rondell Moore, some games will be Jalen Naylor, some games will be Tai Felton. It's just really going to be picking your poison every week for Kevin O'Connell. Now, everybody wants to know first-round pick Donovan Jackson. How is he looking? He just looks massive. He looks like a huge human being. And he also had a couple reps out there. Again, it was more of like a walkthrough period, and not anything, too concrete to go off of here, but he looks good. He looks like a massive offensive lineman. Hopefully he lives up to that first-round pedigree. But also Vikings legend Randall McDaniel was talking about mentoring Donovan Jackson. He said, I will offer that up to him. If that's something he's interested in, I'm more than willing to do that. I thought that was pretty cool from Randall McDaniel. Obviously, still has a lot of love for this Vikings organization and wants the best from them. But I was thinking, what a perfect mentor for Donovan Jackson. You have one of the legends, not just for the Vikings, but the entire NFL, being a guy who's just coming out there and saying, I will mentor him. So hopefully Donovan takes advantage of that. I'm sure he will. So shout out to Randall McDaniel for throwing that out there for Donovan Jackson. And also shout out to the freaking Minnesota Timberwolves last night, tying up the series against the Golden State Warriors. Came out of the gates and absolutely blasted them on a 13-0 run. Got a little dicey there in the third quarter. But still, Timberwolves were able to pull away in the fourth quarter and not even have it be a contest. But I thought it was pretty cool. Kevin O'Connell and his wife were at the game, sitting me on the Wolves bench. I saw some jackass of a Packers fan saying Kevin O'Connell just wants to get second-round experience of the playoffs. I'm not going to lie. I thought that was pretty damn funny, but, F the Packers. We swept y'all last year. And also Brian Flores was in attendance with his family. Shout out to Brian Flores' kid, by the way, rocking a Minnesota Timberwolves Kevin Garnett throwback jersey. I thought that was awesome, but Flores was at the game as well. And also I love this. J.J. McCarthy and Aaron Jones went to the game together last night. So it's pretty cool seeing these Vikings players support these Timberwolves guys. Obviously, they get a lot of screen time when they're at the game, so I'm probably certain they love that. But, hey, this series versus the Warriors, it's 1-1 heading back to the Bay. And if you guys want the Timberwolves to beat the Warriors, give me a Skol Wolves down below in the comment section. And hit that subscribe button on your way out. We'll see y'all next time. As always, Skol Wolves.